If you've spent any time on the XTERRA World Cup circuit as a competitor, organiser or supporter, there are two names guaranteed to ramp up the excitement. Prachatice in Czechia and Zittau in Germany. Beautiful surroundings, challenging courses, huge local support, two stops where the XTERRA family get together for back-to-back weekends for some of the best racing and the biggest parties of the season.
Which way are you going, left?
And for two of those races, these two weekends take the idea of an XTERRA family to a whole new level. Aneta Grabmüller and her house guest, Scott Anderson, don't just have families supporting them, some of their family members are also competing in races over the two weekends as well.
Hello. How you doing? You can make an interview.
For those who know the Grabmüllers, and everyone in Prachatice does, it should come as no surprise. Aneta is widely recognised as one of the best swimmers amongst the women in XTERRA, but here in her hometown, she and her family are local legends. Not only because of Aneta's racing career over the years, but her father also has summiting Everest to his name.
I grew up in a very sporting family. My parents were both cross-country skiers, then triathletes, and I spent my childhood growing up in this environment, in triathlon environment, so it was an obvious choice. Well, this was a lifetime achievement. I made it to Bravo magazine when I was 18, I think. That's also me. I did my first triathlon when I was 3 years old, here in Prachatice. I just always loved the combination of the three different sports, and it is one of my goals to have the same childhood for Emma. I want to kind of give her the same childhood because this was amazing. It is a unique opportunity to race a European Championship in your hometown. I still have many friends, my whole family lives here, and it's just really special to have them all here on a race day, and so many people cheers for me with my name, yeah, I love it and I know it's a privilege.
So while Aneta challenges for honours in the full distance and short track races on her home turf, her mother, sister and daughter Emma will be racing in events in Prachatice.
I want to be able to tell Emma one day that if that's what she wants to do, then she should just do it and just chase her dreams.
Tak čau, tak hodně štěstí.
Yesterday my sister and my mom were racing, and I was really nervous for my sister because I've been helping her with training the last couple of weeks, and it didn't go as planned, so I was disappointed for her. But it was still fun to watch the race and support them.
What's up? We are going to leave the Grabmüller mansion to go ride the new short track course, which is also the old short track course, but also the new course. It's very confusing.
It's very clear.
Scott is looking to put some bad luck with sickness behind him this season. The high energy around those two weekends might be just the right medicine.
One of the biggest learnings this year with traveling, doing the whole World Cup, was for me that it's really hard to stay healthy. I was a little bit ill in Australia, but I was able to race. But it hit me really hard after Greece and in the UK, and to the point where I couldn't actually race XTERRA UK. I was in pretty bad shape, to be honest. But I guess that's just part of having so many races condensed together in a short period of time. After recovering, I hope I can show this in XTERRA Germany, XTERRA Czech, and hopefully culminate in really good performance at the Worlds.
Away from the racing, he's also travelling with his parents and staying with Aneta before they head to Germany in the camper van.
So my parents are staying in a camper van. I guess you can call it a tradition of our family travelling in the van. Some racing, but it's also kind of like a family holiday. And I guess Aneta's house is also slightly more comfortable than the van. But I'll find out next week.
Both of Scott's parents are making the most of the trip and racing in age group events too.
With Ian Anderson here at the finish line.
With the gathering at the Grabmüller house, it's easy to forget that these 2 weekends signal the gathering of the most stacked field of pros seen so far this season. For Aneta, wanting to do well on her home course is far from her only motivation. She's also out to show that she's recovered from an injury at Oak Mountain that took her out of Quebec. And there's her position as the only mother racing on the pro circuit.
Oak Mountain and the recovery afterwards was really tough. When you're a mom and you need to balance it, you just don't waste your energy and time. You just need to make it very efficient, and I'm not gonna do it halfway, you know. And according to Training Peaks and Strava, I'm in the best shape of my life. But we will see.
In the women's field, the major news leading into Prachatice is the unexpected withdrawal of World Cup leader Ep5 due to injury.
About months ago, I was diagnosed with the sacral stress fracture. I felt a bit bad on the glute and I didn't know why. So I did the MRI for knowing if it's something inside broken or not. And yeah, it was a sacral stress fracture.
J'appuie ça.
Yeah, at first it was really hard to accept the injury because the World Cup title is also nice. So yeah, it was a bit sad to know that the season is quite over, but I know that this is part of the game, and for sure I'm taking this moment to come back stronger and smarter.
After such a brilliant season, the heartbreaking reality for Ep5 is that her hopes of taking this year's World Cup title are over. Even without Ep5, Aneta will have plenty of competition though. Hugely experienced XTERRA Worlds athlete and 4-time Olympian Barbara Riveros makes her return, whilst rising UK star Isla Headley and Marta Mendito and the rest of the elite women will be in contention over what promises to be 2 weekends of great racing. For the men, Scott goes up against what must be the strongest lineup of the season so far. Felix Forissier is on a 4-race win streak. His brother Arthur is the current World Cup leader. And then there's Michele Bonacina, ranked 2nd amongst a host of other top pro men, including the current XTERRA world champion, Arthur Serrier. Both full distance races did not disappoint.
Let's do it.
In the men's race, French athlete Émile Bilou exited the swim with what looked to be a commanding lead on the rest of the field. But on the bike, the trails of Prachatice proved otherwise, favouring the strongest of the bikers, including Jens Emil Snoth-Nielsen, posting the fastest bike split of the day and pushing all the way to the front of the race, only to battle it out on the run with Felix Forissier and Arthur Serrier. In the end, Felix kept his remarkable unbeaten streak alive to take his 5th consecutive full-distance win. Sloth-Nielsen took 2nd, while managing to hold off the infamous run threat of Serrier, who settled for 3rd. For the women, it was Isla Headley who led out of the water and onto the bike, leaving hometown hero Aneta playing catch-up on the winding trails and eventually claiming the day's fastest bike split. But bringing up the rear, XTERRA legend Barbara Riveros was out on the hunt, along with Marta Mendito. Onto the run, it was Riveros proving why she is still a top contender in off-road triathlon, taking over the lead and never looking back for the win. Marta Mendito took 2nd, And as the first European finisher, she was crowned the 2025 Europe Triathlon Cross Champion. To the joy of the home crowd, Aneta took the third podium spot, but certainly not the result that she was hoping for, perhaps falling victim to her own pressure.
I didn't feel so great, and I started to feel the heat, and I knew I'm in trouble, and I just bonked on a run and I was suffering.
For Scott, the day also ended in disappointment after dropping out on the race on the run, raising concern of whether he might still be recovering from illness.
I was feeling quite weak on the bike and trying to make my way to T2. I actually started running, but within like 100 meters I realized something was wrong because I had really bad stomach cramps and GI issues, and I actually had to pull out at the aid station.
But for both Scott and Aneta, there was still the opportunity for redemption in Prachatice. With barely enough time to catch their breath, it was time for the short track. Felix's win in the full distance race put him level with his brother Arthur Farissier at the top of the season's standings, setting up the short track as a shootout for the top spot. It was business as usual for Michele Bonacina, who exited the water in the lead and continued his pace, flying through the early portion of the bike course. But it was just a matter of time before Felix Farissier would once again take over the front of the race, using his technical prowess on the bike to stay in command, followed closely by his brother Arthur and a hard-chasing Sloth Nielsen. The two would go head-to-head until an untimely crash saw Felix hit the dirt and Sloth Nielsen move ahead. But on the run, he would not only have to hold off Felix, but also the formidable pace of Arthur Serrier, who once again displayed his running dominance to take over the lead and ultimately capture the short track victory. Sloth Nielsen claimed his second runner-up position of the weekend, and Felix would settle for third, but still with the potential to move up in the World Cup standings. Scott had a much better day in the short track, and a 9th place finish to justify that his comeback may be just getting started.
I was feeling a lot better than the day before, but I could still feel like the stomach rumbling and so on. But I just went balls to the wall and it turned out pretty well, so I kind of redeemed myself, I think.
There was drama in the women's short track too, and Aneta, drawing on her home crowd's energy and the entire Grabmüller clan, in full support. To the crowd's delight, and once again claiming her dominance in the swim, Aneta exited the water in the lead. And that momentum would never fade, as she took full advantage of her intimate knowledge of the home bike course. Chasing hard from behind, Isla Headley and Marta Mendito were in a race of their own, still in full contention and not about to be left behind. Leading into the final lap of the run, where Marta made her big push on the final punchy climb. But Aneta, feeding off the cheers from the home crowd, dug even deeper in what has to be the season's most thrilling sprint finish to capture the win.
There were so many people screaming my name and pushing us, and I just grabbed the tape and I was so happy, so relieved, and I finally did it. So special. I don't think I will ever experience anything like that ever again. It was amazing.
Isla Headley rounded out the podium in a very respectable 3rd place. So, after a thrilling weekend in Czechia, Marta Mendito moves into the top spot in the Women's World Cup rankings, with Aneta climbing all the way up from 6th to third. The men's field also has a new leader, as Félix Farissier takes over for the first time from his brother Arthur, and with just a few points separating the two. With the racing done, there was little time for rest, as the XTERRA family had just a week to move on to Germany.
Everything packed and we're ready to leave Prachatice and travel to Zittau. Only a 3 hours drive.
We drove to Zittau from Czech on Monday, and we had a little stopover in Prague. And then we drove on from Prague to Zittau another 2 hours, and yeah, kind of stormed onto the campsite here and set up all of this.
Outside of the Worlds, Zittau is the region's biggest race. Even before the extra incentive this year of being the European Championship and the 25th year of the XTERRA OC Festival.
How are you doing? Ahoy! Ahoy!
Aneta and Scott arrived in Zittau and added their names to a start list that showed this was the last chance for the elite to fine-tune themselves before the World Championship. The men's race was a full house of top-ranked athletes, all in form, injury-free and raring to race. While Alice Pache's injury ruled her out, the women's field saw world champion Solène Villouin return to the start line. In the women's race, it was no surprise to see Isla Headley and Aneta exit the swim and enter T1 in the lead. And though both of them put on an impressive performance throughout the bike course, it was no match for Solène Villouin, who did not look like an athlete in only her second XTERRA race of the season, as she held off Aneta and Isla to take the win and be crowned as European champion. Aneta posted the fastest run, taking second place. Isla Headley once again took the final spot on the podium in third.
I'm very happy with my race today. To finish on the podium in all 3 races is above expectations, especially after the injury. So I'm really happy with that.
The men's race also started with the strongest swimmers in the lead, including Michele Bonacina. But on the bike, it was a battle between Félix Farissier and Arthur Serriès. Well, that is until Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen closed the gap, putting together the fastest bike split of the day, following up with a strong run to take the win, and with it, the European Championship. Arthur Serriès used his incredible pace to finish second in front of Félix Farissier in third. Scott was able to push aside any past race woes, delivering a solid performance, and was more than happy to finish with enough points to remain in the top 10 of the World Cup rankings.
Not the best race I ever had, but also not a bad race, which I'm quite happy with. I'm currently placed in 10th, and now I just have to wrap it up with a very good short track in Moveno, otherwise Arthur Serriès, who's come back halfway through the season, will catch me up again.
I'm back in a second place, and it's just been a roller coaster, and yeah, those that are the most consistent will be awarded at the end, and it seems like it's going to be decided in the last race.
2 of the biggest stops on the XTERRA calendar did not disappoint, seeing Marta Mendito secure the Women's World Cup crown with strong results across the whole season, while Aneta Grabmüller moved up to the number 2 spot. For the men, the title is up for grabs, with Farissier brothers and several other athletes still in serious contention going into the final event of the season.
And now it's time for the party!
And as always, after the racing, the parties were epic. Next stop, Trentino, Italy. In the shadow of the Dolomites, it's almost time for the 2025 World Cup finale, where this year's world champions will be crowned.